I'll go on to item number 7B, budget review for Corp Counsel.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Steve.
The Corporation Counsel budget is up next. We have total expenses of $1,080,157. That's up $40,315 from the 2017 amended budget, or a 3.9% increase. That's happening as a result of the new attorney that was brought on in 2017, who was budgeted at mid-range, as all new employees are. In 2018, he is being budgeted at his max step for budgetary purposes. That accounts for almost all of the increase, roughly $32,666 of that. Everything else is related to fringes, internal services, and other county-wide adjustments. And with that, I'll bring on John Schapka.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My budget's fairly simple, probably one of the smallest in the entire county. I'm asking for nothing new that I didn't have last year. No new positions, no new supplies, no new money. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about it.
Bless you, my son.
Thank you.
Commissioner Drollet, I have you on the list.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This might be more for finance, but the pension retiree healthcare costs are shown to go down in a very small amount. It looks to be much smaller in percentage of a drop than other budgets. Is there a reason why in this particular department the pension costs don't seem to be going down as much as they did in the other departments?
I think the biggest reason why that could be happening is because of lack of turnover in that department, and as a result, most of those employees are still pre-2016 hires, meaning that they're still on defined benefit. Okay. So in other departments like the sheriff, where I believe you had brought that up last week, there's a lot more turnover. The new people coming on defined contribution, it drops it by a greater percentage. So it's not necessarily a flat amount that departments are going down by, and this is a great example of a department where we've retained most of the employees through the years, and therefore the DB rate, while going down, is pretty flat, so you're seeing a smaller decrease.
No, that makes perfect sense. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I guess that's it. There's no increase in mental health care costs in the budget.
Internal costs? No, we're self-medicating.
Excellent decision. Thank
you.
Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Two questions. The first one, the increase, you said roughly $30,000, I believe, was because of you budgeted at the mid-range for the hiree, and then for next year you put it at the max. So am I to understand that the step process is he's going to be at max next year, or is it a couple-year process?
No, he'll be at max.
He'll be at max next year. Okay. And then the other question I have, where would it be the cost of outside counsel? Where is that documented at of what was spent?
That does not come out of my departmental budget. That comes out of an insurance defense fund, which is held by finance or risk management.
Okay, I guess for finance.
It doesn't show up in my budget because it doesn't come out of my budget.
I'd like to know from finance what line item that is, so that I can take a look at what was spent in the past, what's currently budgeted, and what's, some history on that.
We don't submit a budget for that, as it's an internal service fund. But actually, your question's timely, because actually later on this week, on I believe the 31st, on Thursday, I believe that is, we'll be doing a review of the 2016 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, which will show the general liability fund, and the information is in that fund as far as how much we're spending each year, what our reserves are.
Okay, and they're going to be line item where I can understand what was done? Well,
no.
Forewarning, if it's not, please do, because I'd like to know what's being spent so I can have an idea of what's going on. At least I would like to see that. I don't know about anybody else. If that's possible, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next on the list, Commissioner Smith.
Thank you. One of the questions was just asked by Commissioner Carabelli, and to your point, Commissioner Carabelli, my next question kind of goes on along the same lines. Since we get, they're kind of big block, and it doesn't drill down into, and not that this is a big item, but what kind of revenue do you guys get for, I mean, what are we looking at, FOIA requests or?
FOIA fees.
That's it?
The $1,500 that actually is accounted in my budget is the FOIA fees. All
Any-
the delinquent tax actions are actually not, even though we do the work, we don't have it in our budget. That goes in the treasurer's budget.
Okay, so your
And
only revenues are based, generated from FOIAs?
Basically FOIA fees.
Is that FOIAs throughout the county? I mean, like, so FOIA requests to, I don't know, the sheriff's department, do they all come to you or do they handle them internally? I'm just
By
curious.
policy, they all should come to my office. We
Okay.
are the FOIA coordinator for the county. However, by informal agreements, especially with the sheriff's office, some do not. The routine traffic accident reports, the UD-10 reports, where they get 10 requests per day, they handle those all internally, just to keep the volume down in my office.
Okay. And just nothing to do with you, but commissioners, for your information, the question Commissioner Carabelli was asking is something that's kind of concerned me, is that we do get a lot of these without all the line items in them. So we get a big block of, I don't know, contract services, but we don't really know what all those contract services are. And to that note, we don't have access to the IFAS that shows it for each department. So we are going to request that information, so at least we have a little better idea of each block of line item that we have, because there's, sometimes, dozens of, individual line items or sub-items that make up that line item. So we're trying to make that a little bit more clear for us in case you want to dig into any one of these individually. So thanks. Thanks, John.
Welcome.
Commissioner Kleinfeld?
Thank you, Chair. John, is there any line item that we need to increase to get you in high-profile cases that are going to be all over the media to drop us an email updating them so that we don't have to read it in the newspaper?
No, actually sending emails is pretty cheap.
Okay, so you'll take a note of that for me.
Message received.
Thank you.
Any other questions for John, commissioners? Seeing none, we need a motion to receive and file, moved by Carabelli, supported by Duje. Please vote on that. Item passes. Now we need a